It's an absolute pleasure to be able to join you this evening to honor Gloria Alvarez and Richard Rahn. Thanks very much to Barbara Kolm and her colleagues at the Hayek Institut and the Austrian Economic Center for the invitation. The Austrian Center does so much to promote and educate on issues of deep importance in this day and age. They're issues surrounding life, liberty, the rule of law, and free markets as a force for good. So congratulations to all of the good work that you do, including hosting this terrific evening. I also appreciate the opportunity to speak a bit about Gloria Alvarez. In many ways, Gloria and I have had a similar but very different set of experiences. It's extremely easy to get to know Gloria from nearly any corner of the globe. All one needs to do is go into a browser and type Gloria Alvarez YouTube. And instantaneously, the computer screen is filled with links to her very lively views on many topics. Each appearance is packed with insight and unending energy. Her use of the language in Spanish and English is just tremendous. Her expressions are superb and always engaging. One of my favorite Gloria expressions is, "Socialism is socialism, whether you are on Mars, in the EU, or in Latin America." And I would only add, Gloria, sadly, I would only add the United States, because in many ways, many well-intentioned individuals are trying to introduce socialism into the United States as well. Yet, in thinking about socialism, one of my first forays into Latin America and to working in Latin America was with Venezuela. At the time, Venezuela boosted the highest per capita income in all of Latin America. Venezuela also boosted the highest level of education in the region. How different is Venezuela today? Gloria also has a natural way of expressing economic concepts clearly. This is certainly a trait in short order, not always shared by many economists, and in many instances, myself included. Another one of my favorite comments from Gloria is the way that she describes policy perspectives frequently evident in Latin America, which is essentially limited accountability. What she says is that the authorities will often say, well, let's see what the gringos do first. And as you know, the gringos are foreigners, usually from the United States, who don't speak flawless Spanish. So in other words, let's see what happens externally before producing durable policies or durable institutions that are designed to withstand time and circumstances. The fallback belief is that events and outcomes are out of control. Naturally, paralysis and excessive dependence on external factors runs counter to allowing an economy to grow and flourish. In a related and in a contrasting way, I will never forget my first trip to Chile in the late 1980s. Latin America was still in the throes of the debt crisis. Growth was low and inflation was high. I had the privilege of attending a meeting at the finance ministry, wonderful meeting, but on the way out, a young economist, and I was much younger then as well, needed to lean over and say something. And he said, looked at me in the eyes and said, look, Chile is different. We are not dependent on you gringos for policy. I paused. I leaned back over to him and said, good, Chile will grow. And what happened? Chile grew by 7.5% on average for every year over the next 10 years. So Gloria is clear and right. both regarding the seepage of socialism and the damage from limited policy accountability. More importantly, Gloria has founded and moved swiftly forward with educational campaigns. One has over 20 million followers. Well done. Lastly, Barbara asked me to speak a bit about one of the activities of the Center for Financial Stability, which fits nicely within the values espoused by Gloria and the work of the Austrian Center and Hayek Institut. Hayek was clear. You all know this quote from Hayek, and that is, the basic tools of civilization, language, morals, law, and money, are the results of spontaneous growth. Yet Hayek was also concerned that law and money often fall prey to organized powers or the government. At the Center for Financial Stability, we actively measure money. We actively measure money in the United States. We evaluate the role of the Federal Reserve and the private sector, which also importantly creates money. We've learned a lot. To be sure, there should be concern regarding the management of the money supply globally since the financial crisis. The Federal Reserve created more money after the financial crisis than it had in its 100-plus year history. This has had a profound influence on wealth redistribution, and it has actually restrained the economy from recovering in the first 7 years after the crisis. Fortunately, over the last 2 years, the Federal Reserve has moved decisively to start to normalize policy, helping growth to improve and the economy to recover. The ECB is a bit behind. The ECB underwent a similar spree to create monetary base and engage in quantitative easing exercises. These exercises favored holders of financial assets without commensurate gains in growth. Yet Europe seems less committed to eventual normalization, as we've seen this morning, part of the way there. And for certain, the situation is far more complex in Europe. Money supply is created across countries and across asset classes. It's much more complicated, and it becomes aggregated, so its delivery mechanisms and the creation of it, the contemplation of it is very different in this region. In sum, there is much more to do to promote strong basic tools for our civilization to spur spontaneous growth, namely language, morals, law, and money. Congratulations to the Hayek Institute and the Austrian Center for promoting such goals and such a wonderful event. Most of all, congratulations to Richard Rahn and Gloria Alvarez for their honor this evening. Gloria, it is clear that your work does much to honor Hayek's vision.